welcome to episode 5 of Movies and Us. I'm TJ.
And I'm Marcus.
And this is the review show that reviews genre movies from the beginning. Sometimes I messed up the beginning of that intro.
Let's do it again, guys, from the top.
Nope. We're just going forward here.
No, we're not.
I'm moving forward right now. We're going into Superman 1978. It was released by Warner Brothers. It was presented by Alexander Sulkin. It was a Richard Donner film. It was produced by Pierre Spengler. Screenplay was written by Mario Puzo, David Newman, Leslie Newman, and Robert Benton. Story is by Mario Puzo. Based on the Superman by Jerry Siegel and Julia Schuster. Stars, what I found interesting, it stars Marlon Brando, Gene Hackman, and they got top billing.
Well, that's not surprising. Was this Christopher Reeve's first? Is this his first movie doing?
I don't know.
I should have looked that up. You keep talking.
Yeah, I found it interesting. They were top. Not only were they top billing, but they were like put in front of like a presenter, and then it became Christopher Reeve and so forth and so forth. And Marlon Brando is only in it for like 10 minutes or so.
Well, you got to remember it's Marlon Brando though. He's a big name. Was a big name in Hollywood at the time.
I suppose. I mean, it's just weird that, the title character is not the, main villain, I always find that weird.
It's all about that money, TJ. And egos. Egos and money.
Yeah, well, it shouldn't be. Anyway.
It's Hollywood, baby.
And then, everyone knows Christopher Reeve is Superman, so forth and so forth and so forth. I think that's all we need to go over as far as who made it and shit, right? You want to talk about the box office?
Yeah, the box office. Well, I can't forget, I will also bring up that John Williams scored this iconic superhero Superman score. And that's like right after 2 years after Jaws came out, which broke the box office, which made a box office a big deal to look at. But yeah, box office wise, it was cost $55 million to make, and worldwide it grossed $300 million, which is a big deal. And we've been trying to find the correct numbers for that. But we're guessing overall it's the biggest one of that year. Domestically, it came close to after Grease and Animal House. At the time, $300 million worldwide. It's a good number right there.
Especially in 1978.
Yeah, yes, sir. Also, other movies that came out that year were just astonishing. The re-release of Star Wars: A New Hope. What else? Jaws 2 came out that year. Saturday Night Fever. A lot of good stuff.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about other stuff, Marcus.
Yes, we are, TJ.
We're here.
This movie sucks. I'm kidding. It was great.
It was great if it was shorter.
Yeah. The runtime of this movie was, 2 hours and...
20 minutes?
23 minutes. Yeah, it's a long movie, people.
It's a really long movie. I mean, who hasn't seen Superman? Marcus.
Listen, I'm young-ish at heart. And I never got around to seeing this movie because I had the whole collection in my room, but never got around to see them. Needed a good excuse. This is a good excuse.
You have to be, under 30 to not have seen this movie.
Although, if you're under 30, I would definitely recommend watching this movie.
And speaking of which, we open up with a comic book.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I'm going to go right to that. I did not like that at all.
Why? Every superhero movie today opens up with comic books.
But why? It's just like... I'm watching a comic book movie. I don't need to see someone either reading a comic book or mentioning the book. It's a weird concept to me. It takes me out the movie automatically.
And what? Going up into space is not taking you out of it?
No, because if you fit into space, okay, I'm in that world. If I'm seeing someone reading the book, okay, now I'm thinking, okay, am I in reality watching someone read a book to me, or am I like in their imagination how this movie's playing out, and am I in the pages of how this movie's like? How am I witnessing this adaptation?
The comic book section is like 10 seconds long.
It's 10 seconds too long, okay? It should not have been. That's something I would cut out from this movie, make it a little bit shorter. I don't like watching people read books to me when I'm reading a damn movie.
I'm reading a book to you. I'm reading you a book of notes I'm reading right now, right to you.
Yeah, that's not the same here. That's not just... Imagine if Lord of the Rings opened that way. It's like, oh, that's the merch is a little bit gone for me. That's all.
Well, we don't actually open there anyway. We really open up in space.
Space, the final front.
And something strange happens in space. Why are names floating through space? I never understood that.
That's where the immersion breaks for you. As the name's flying through space.
I only bring it up because it's like 20 minutes long.
It is, isn't it? Like and they all have the same graphic. They're not even changing. Like they fly into your face, they show the name, they fly out. Next one comes in, like, oh my goodness.
And it just goes on and on and on. All these people in the beginning. Marlon Brando. Why are you? Where's your spaceship? Why are you floating towards me? Do you need to breathe? I mean, your only words, but we eventually get to a red sun and then to a barren planet, the planet Krypton.
Krypton, as Marlon Brando would say.
Yep.
Now,
I guess
I always wonder, is that how they say it in the books, or is that not how he said it? Is it Krypton or Krypton?
It's Krypton.
Oh, okay, so that's just him being Marlon Brando, okay.
Yeah, I guess Marlon Brando just did not want to say Krypton.
He's that kind of actor, so it makes plenty of sense.
So he's like, Krypton. So,
Krypton
I know,
danger.
Rewatching this movie, I noted, Krypton's pretty barren. This is a shitty planet.
Oh, yeah, it's like, no wonder it got blown up, or did blow up, because it looks like it's an ice planet, first off. It's just nothing.
They're like living in the walls and shit.
Yeah.
Of a chasm. It's like present day when they show you Krypton. It's futuristic cityscape. Not this one. This one's like you might as well be cave people.
Yeah. This is just very depressing.
It's like this isn't much of a planet.
Now, to be fair, at the same time, though, it's like the first time I can recall that we're either out of the movies watched so far, we're either A, in space, and B, have a big set piece like this. So I was enjoying it for those aspects, but yeah, I was definitely like, man,
don't want
to live there.
I'm gonna say Star Wars released the year before.
No, but I'm saying out of the movies we're watching for this podcast.
Oh.
Yeah, Star Wars, yeah, that's compared to this, night and day.
I don't know, it just felt barren, and I didn't really like it.
No. Like, if I lived on this planet and someone said we should leave the planet to go somewhere else, like, yeah, cool, sign me up, I'm out.
Anyway, we open up with a trial of General Zod and his cohorts.
Oh my god, I forgot they were in this movie.
Yeah, well, this is pretty much set up for the second movie. This whole scene, that's all it is.
Yeah. Well, we should probably mention that for the people who are listening. Originally, the idea for this, and I guess that's how they did it, they filmed this and the second one, Superman 2, together, like back to back, to save money, I think it was, and make a cohesive story. That's why there's another cut of the film out there called the Donner Cut, because there's the theatrical and there's his cut versions of it.
I gotcha. Anyway, Zod and his crew gets charged guilty for insurrection, and I guess they're trying to take over Krypton. So they banish them to the Phantom Zone, which in this version is like a glass plate.
No, is that the Phantom Zone, or is that just something that's going to transport them to the Phantom Zone?
No, that's the doorway to the Phantom Zone. The Phantom Zone has different iterations, but mostly it's kind of just like in a mortal prison for the worst of the worst. You don't die there. You just get... the Phantoms there pretty much torture you for eternity.
So is that definitely a comic book thing, or was that...
I don't know, the Phantom Zone... I don't know. I'm pretty sure the Phantom Zone was in Superman at some point. I don't know when its origin is, but I'm pretty sure it was in the comics. I know it's definitely in the comics now. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they stuck pretty close to the comics at the very least for this. In some aspects, anyway.
Okay, I was wondering like if he just like, let's make some kind of weird, crazy, futuristic prison thing or what have you. But that makes more sense now.
The Phantom Zone is pretty much the, what's the word? The Deus Ex Machina to bring Superman villains from Krypton in anytime they need.
Really?
A superhero. Yeah, how did this person survive the explosion of Krypton? They were in the Phantom Zone.
How big is the Phantom Zone? Is it like infinite?
I think it's infinite, as far as I know. The Phantom Zone debuted in April 1961 in Adventure Comics 283. Yeah, I was pretty 100% sure.
So this whole planet could have like escaped to the Phantom Zone until they found a way out or something, you're saying?
I mean, Superman gets trapped in there a few times, and so he always manages to escape somehow. And of course, the villains escape there. So in the comics, the girl that is with Zod on trial is actually his wife.
Oh, okay.
Ursa is his wife. I don't know who the other guy is, though.
Probably his right-hand man or something.
I never looked it up, but I don't know if he's a comic or if he was just at it just to have another guy, you know? Then we jump from that to another scene where Jor-El's explaining that Krypton's going to explode.
Yeah, it seems like they have a debate. Like, it's a bunch of old white dudes arguing, should we do this or should we not? Or we just let it be. It's just...
One of the counselors is like, we just think Krypton is shifting on its orbit a little bit. But you're fucking idiots.
Yeah, for being the smartest beings on the universe.
Even if you're right and it's not going to explode, you have spaceships. Don't you think it's prudent to, get in your spaceships and get to a safe distance for maybe the next month or even go 2 weeks before and just check to make sure your planet doesn't blow up?
Right. And obviously, like they've seen other planets. They know of Earth. That's why he's sending us some there. Like, there's so many ways to properly handle the situation. There's just like, let's just brush it under the rug and see what happens.
Instead, they threaten to charge Jor-El with insurrection, like Zod. He would probably been better off. At least he'd be alive in the Phantom Zone.
Right.
But what's even worse, though, is Jor-El just goes along with it. He's like, oh, okay, I guess me and my wife are just gonna die with the rest of you idiots. We won't leave the planet.
For as good as the acting is, I feel that happens a lot in this movie. Like, oh, I guess we have to do this now because that's what the script says. We should keep the story going. Like, there's conflict, but there's no, like, true conflict. There's no, like, well, no, there's no one's fighting for their beliefs, really.
I don't even think it's a problem with this movie. I think it's a problem with the origin in general.
Oh, you think so, yeah?
Yeah, because I think it's written the same way, kind of, that the scientists didn't believe Jor-El, and that that they shut down, that he was the only one that knew. No one bothers to verify his results. It's a bunch of bullcrap.
It is. It's Superman. It is.
It's just I'm not blaming the movie. I think they followed the comic book, and this is what they had to work with.
That's fair. They're trying to be too faithful, I guess you're saying, to the source material.
Yeah. So the councils are idiots. So Jor-El puts his baby son into a crystal bed thing that turns into a spaceship.
Surrounded by all these little it's like a crystal cut in half. One arm where I sit the baby in, and one on top so it's closing on itself. And he's just placing all these crystals around him. Correct?
Yeah. He's just the crystals hold data, so they're like recordings of everything that Jor-El knows, and apparently he knows everything, so...
Everything. He doesn't have any biased opinions on anything at all, he just knows all the facts.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's not...
Wait a second.
What?
Is the Water Boy a ripoff of this?
The Water Boy?
The Adam Sandler movie.
I know. Okay, I'm listening.
Adam Sandler's homeschooled. Superman's homeschooled with his fucking knowledge on the ship. He goes to school, goes to out of town to, I don't know, save the day, save the whatever. Superman wants to save the world. Adam Sandler's super fast and super good at whatever he does, obviously. So is Superman. So, like, is Adam Sandler the Superman of that?
Are you saying Clark Kent's mentally slow?
He could be. If Jor-El was feeding him false information like Mama did for Adam Sandler, Mama says, oh, gators are so ornery because they can't reach the back of their teeth or what have you. If Jor-El would have said that kind of information as Superman, could have been the same logic, right?
I highly doubt it.
Well, I highly believe it.
I think you're like 100% wrong on this one.
I think I'm 100% correct.
And that's the problem.
You're the problem. Let's get back to the review.
So Krypton explodes.
Wait, hold on. I wanted to mention. I like the outfits they're wearing. Honestly, all the set design, the costumes, and everything. Like a lot of thought, a lot of money obviously went into this. You could tell the sci-fi-ness of everything.
Oh, right. I keep forgetting this is your first viewing of it.
It is.
So you're seeing this stuff for the first time. I'm thinking, okay, they're the same outfits they've always worn. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Again, for 1978, again, after Star Wars, this is like really enjoyable.
So Baby Clark is sent into space.
Okay, you saw this. How the spaceship just crashed through the ceiling.
Yes.
That's a terrible design, is it not?
Who cares? The planet is explosion.
But it's crashing through it could have destroyed the ship and put off trajectory or something.
No, those crystals seem to be impenetrable.
That's stupid.
They survived entry into the Earth's atmosphere.
But he literally broke through a glass ceiling. That's got to be a metaphor for something, right?
No, because he's a white guy.
Yeah, going into an unknown territory. Kind of like Lewis and Clark did.
You're stretching again.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to have fun with this.
Don't go. I had enough of Batman 66 deductions here. We did that last week. We're not doing it again. We're not even a half hour into this review, into this movie review yet. This is still the beginning. So, when they send Baby Clark into space, this is where time gets really crazy, like timeline-wise, because I don't understand what's going on. At one point, when Clark retalks to Jor-El, we'll get to that later in the Fortress, Jor-El says, "I've been dead thousands of years."
Yeah.
But it says it took Clark 12 years to get through space. And when Jor-El was sending Clark to hit that, they said we're thousands of years ahead in technology, which made me think, we're in like before the Christ and stuff on Earth at that point, because he said thousands of years, right?
I get what you're saying, yeah.
So it was confusing. And then when he's explaining things to Clark, like in the pod, telling him different things, he's bringing up stuff like Einstein and Chinese writing. Shouldn't he be telling him stuff about Krypton? Why are you bringing Earth people? How do you know who Albert Einstein is?
Exactly. Like, how are you probing? How are you figuring this out? At that distance, how are you getting that knowledge to your time and like in a reasonable amount of time? None of that makes any sense.
Sure, maybe they know that the planet exists, but they shouldn't know individual things about that planet.
No, not in the slightest.
And if they do, they have the technology to travel that far, which obviously they do. So there's no reason they all should have been blown up on that planet.
No, not at all. At least there should be like a Noah's Ark of people out living off that planet.
I don't know.
I feel that.
So Clark crashes on Earth and he finds the Kents. It's classic origin story here. So, they find him and he picks up the truck as a baby and they mention, we'll just say he's an orphan from a cousin of mine somewhere. And that's it. They hand wave it away. I did mention Martha Kent's name is Martha Clark Kent. That's where they got the name from in this, apparently.
Yes.
I think that's a movie detail.
It must be. What's her name? She has to have a name in the comics, right?
Her name's Martha Kent.
Okay.
But I don't think her middle name's Clark. Yeah. So we have Baby Clark. Then we skip ahead, I guess, like 18 years or so.
Yeah, until he's in high school.
And now we have Teen Clark. And then, he's being bullied by the kids. He is the water boy, essentially. He's like...
Yep.
He's like the football cleanup guy.
Yeah, what else does he do? He runs pretty fast, right?
We get introduced...
The same colors as the Water Boy team, too. I'm sorry. Both red and white. Come on, man.
I want to point out that you've seen that movie way too many times, and you've never seen Superman. I'm just pointing out. You know that movie way too well that you remember the colors of the school.
Yes. They were the Mud Dogs. That's something like that. Bulldogs. I think it was Mud Dogs. North and the South. Come on, man. He is Superman.
And yet, it took me to do a genre movie podcast with you for you to finally watch Superman.
Yeah, what's your point?
My point is, Teen Clark, this is where we're introduced to all the Smallville elements. It's not focused on a lot. We get a brief intro to Lana Lang, his love interest from Smallville, which is in all the comics and all the histories and everything else.
Yes.
in this version of it, his dad, Jonathan Kent, dies in a heart attack. He dies in different versions of the lore.
I like how he dies in this, personally, because it shows that Clark can never have saved him no matter what, essentially, especially at this stage in life.
Yeah, they do that lesson all the time when they kill off Jonathan Kent.
Really? Is it always something like natural? Because I know in the newest one...
He always dies of a heart attack.
I've only seen the Snyder one. It's like he just like dies by a tornado. Like, just no, Clark, don't save me.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't count. I don't count the Snyder ones. That's an alternate Superman. That Superman's stupid and kills people, so...
I like that. Yep. We'll get to that later, old man.
Nope. I'm just saying right now, it's stupid. Man of Steel sucks.
Man of Steel's good. It's not great, but it's good. It's enjoyable.
So anyway, after Papa Kent dies, I point this out because it's another one of those background things that I noticed, and I don't know if you picked it up, but it's sometime after he dies, and Martha Kent's looking out over the field, and Clark's standing out there, but on the table she puts a box of Cheerios.
Why would you notice that? I thought that's the you'll notice the product placement. Come on, TJ.
I noticed the Cheerios because it stood out. It's like, how much of Cheerios paid to get that in there?
Oh, I see that. It's like it's right in the window, bright yellow. It's like the brightest color in the whole frame. That's ridiculous. It's literally Ma Kent in the middle of the frame. To the left is the brown wall. To the right is the window with the breakfast table of milk, looks like toast, and a big yellow box of Cheerios. How did I miss that?
I don't know, but I noticed it.
That's fantastic.
But, I skipped over. He's running super fast.
Yeah, like the water boy.
Running to show that he runs as fast as a speeding train. And, showing off. And then that event, right after that, Papa Kent dies. But, then we skip ahead a little bit to that field scene that I was talking about. And then Clark's like, I gotta go. And then Martha Kent's like, remember us, as if he's never coming back. Did you find that weird?
No, there's like I said earlier, it feels like this is like the script saying, I think the A to B to C to D. It doesn't feel rushed, but it just feels half-assed. Like, I get you gotta go, spread your wings, baby bird. And he just goes. No human connections in this movie, I feel.
It's fine that he's gotta go, but he can fly. He can be back in Smallville in 10 seconds to visit mom. It's not like you're going anywhere. Why does he need to remember you? It almost felt like she was saying, you're never gonna see me again, so...
Yeah. I didn't pick
maybe it's just... Right. Maybe it was just me, but it felt weird. We never do see them again in this movie, but
no, we don't see exactly. But in this stage, at this stage of his life, does he know how to fly? He can run super fast. He knows he's strong, but does he know he can fly yet? Or does he learn that later on?
I'm assuming he knows how to fly because he gets to Antarctica in the next scene.
Why there?
It's isolated and no one can get to it. In recent continuity, he has his fortress in the Bermuda Triangle, so take Antarctica where you got it.
Yeah, I'd rather go there. Okay, you're right.
So he goes north to Antarctica, so I'm assuming he flies there, because I don't think he's running super fast over the Atlantic Ocean.
The only reason I'm saying he's not flying there, because when he shows up to the scene, he's wearing his clothes, and he's mint condition, red shirt, blue pants, etc. They don't seem torn or whatever. Now, I know they're not going to think about that back in the 70s, but it's pretty clean.
But how else is he getting there?
A boat? I don't know.
And he would be way more ragged if he was on a boat. It looks like he went from the field to Antarctica in the same day.
You're not wrong, but it's just... No. That wouldn't make any sense.
He flew there.
No, there's no... No, the clothes aren't made for that. His hair is so neat. You think he stopped to style his hair in case he's running too fucking... It only
took him 3 seconds to get there. He flew from Metropolis to New York in a later scene in 3 seconds.
Okay.
So he creates the fortress. I said 12 years. It took Clark 12 years to get from there to there, but that's not how long it took. It was more like 3 years, according to what Lex says later. The 12 years is how long he spends in this fortress. Yeah. This is where Jor-El explains, he's been dead thousands of years somehow at this point. And then he goes into explaining, I guess, all the crystals, all Superman's history, and teaching them everything. And it takes them 12 years to do it. Because I mean, it was a long scene, too. It was like 5 minutes of just Jor-El talking to background, like a screensaver.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it kept going, and then finally...
See, that's something else we cut down for this movie. This movie's too long, people, but we didn't say that yet. This movie's too long.
So finally, 47 minutes in, we get Superman.
Superman!
But he flies towards the screen, and all of a sudden we're in Metropolis. Now we get introduced to the Daily Planet. This is where we get introduced to Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, Perry White, all the classic stuff.
And I want to say something, like, as soon as we get to this Metropolis section of the movie, it feels like two different movies at this point.
Yeah, it feels like Superman at this point.
It does. That first, as much as I enjoyed the first 45 minutes, make it like 10 minutes long.
Yeah, you needed to cut it down.
Yeah, because this is where Superman really becomes the thing.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about how we liked George Reeves as Clark Kent, but Christopher Reeve has it down, man.
Oh my God. So, like, people always say he's the best. I'm like, okay, whatever. You guys are just being not nostalgic. No, he is the best. He is the best Clark Kent. He's the best Superman we've ever had. So to date, like, he does both roles so well. From the clumsy Clark Kent to the all-aspiring Superman. Like, my gosh, what a role to have.
And this is just you watching it for the first time, so...
Yes, after watching... Henry Cartel? What's his name? I'm sorry.
I think that's a comedian.
It is. What's his name?
Henry Cavill.
Okay, yeah, the Richard dude. After watching him do that, after watching Brandon Roth, I think?
Brandon Roth, yep.
And Smallville. I used to watch Smallville as a kid, but God.
Tom Welling,
yeah,
as Clark.
No, Chris.
Or what about Dean Cain?
Which one was Dean Cain? I see that one.
Adventures of Superman and Lois from the 90s show.
No. Never watched that. But no, it's like what you're talking about. No, but seriously, Christopher Reeves is the best at what he did.
Because as soon as they go into Daily Planet, and as soon as he starts putting on the clumsy act, it's a different movie altogether. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, like it's really enjoyable. Like it's like this is where I should have started at.
And so he's introduced to Lois and everything else, and he's following Lois around like a little puppy dog.
Yep.
And then they get mugged.
They're walking down the street, and all of a sudden you see this gun pop out the side of a building, and this guy saying, "Hey, come here, come here." It's so comedic. Hey, you two, come here, real quick. Like, what?
And Clark's like, "Yeah, we better do what he says, Lois." And meanwhile, he's standing in front of Lois the whole time. She's using him as a shield.
Oh yeah, it's like so subtle how they show that he's still Superman, but he's still playing off Clark Kent. It's beautiful.
And Lois is being Lois. She's not taking any shit from this guy.
Nope. This is like really well character writing right here.
My favorite part of the whole scene though is the mugger is holding the gun to Clark, and Clark just pushes the gun out of the way to the right. Oh, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And he just points it right back at him.
And Lois drops her bag, giving it to the man. She kicks him in the face, showing that she's not weak, which is great.
Right, and then he shoots at her, and then Clark grabs the bullet but pretends to faint at the same time.
Oh, it's a good sequence.
Yeah, it's a really good introduction to this character.
Yes, to Clark Kent and to Lois, to everything. In the face of danger, it shows you who they are, how well thought they are.
Then we get introduced to the next half of this equation. Otis, Lex Luthor's henchman, is walking down the street, and he tries to steal from a blind person, first of all.
Yeah.
But a cop notices him, so the cop follows Otis down into the train tracks, and Otis goes up to this door, a train passes, and he goes through a secret door that Lex opens. So the cop's like, "Oh, I know what that trick is." Well, so he goes, go ahead.
Well, if we're only picked up a cop, I guess they're part of a team looking for this guy, right?
Right, yeah, they were partners. So, but the one partner wanted to get back up because they think they finally found Lex Luthor, which I found interesting in this. Because Lex Luthor is like this international criminal in this.
Yeah,
but usually in the comics, at least in recent comics, he's more of a billionaire guy with the perception that he's a good guy.
Yeah.
And it's Clark and Superman stopping him in different notions. But here he's like having to hide and stuff.
Yeah, I personally didn't like this take on him. Like you said, I like the more public figure, more open about.
This isn't a really good Lex Luthor, but
no, not the worst.
He does have his moments.
Yes,
because the cop finds the secret door, which was refreshing the day. He was like, "Oh, I'm not fooled that he just disappeared." He goes over the door, but Lex pushes a button, and as the train's coming towards, and the door flings the cop out in front of the train. And Lex Luthor just killed a cop.
Yeah, brutally. That guy got plowed by the train. You don't see it though, obviously, because it's PG.
No, people do die in this though.
In the comic books, Lex Luthor, does he usually have these kind of bumbling buffoon henchmen?
Not really, but I'm assuming in early Superman he did, because there was a dark age of comics.
Yeah. No, I understand.
The comic codes of authority, if anyone knows what that is, look it up and you'll know. The Silver Age of comics is really silly, and so I would not put it past them that Lex had a bunch of bumbling people on his side. But, to be fair, Lex's plan to buy real estate is pretty stupid.
It is. His plan in general is like, well, this is your plan, the evil genius, this is to buy land.
So, he explains his plan to Otis and his other henchman, Miss Tessmacher. Miss Tessmacher, Otis, I don't know, isn't prevalent in the comics. If he is, I don't know him. But Miss Tessmacher is. She's always Lex's assistant. And in recent iterations, by recent I mean like from like the Superman cartoon and stuff like that, she's usually portrayed as really competent and badass.
Really?
Yeah, she's like supposed to be like an equal almost to Lex as far as like skill and stuff like that. She's not some bumbling person to look at. She's actually useful to him a lot of times.
Yeah, because as you guys can see, as I'm shocked by that, she's just ditzy.
Well, a perfect example. The most recent iteration of Miss Tessmacher is in the Supergirl show. Lex Luthor is very prevalent in that show these days.
Oh, nice.
The Miss Tessmacher in that is super smart, and she was part of an assassin. She was an assassin essentially.
She has depth. I didn't know that.
Obviously, not in this version. And she's the reason that Lex's plans falls apart. But we'll get to that. So yeah, we get introduced essentially to Lex and his secret lair underneath those train stations and stuff like that.
I like that. It's like an old central station underground.
He should have had the Joker and Penguin with them in there.
Oh yeah, it's very Batman-esque.
We left the 60s behind. We're in the 70s, Marcus.
We're almost in the 80s at this point. Okay, TJ, I get it. Okay. Do your thing.
All right. So, after the Lex Luthor stuff, we go back to Clark and Lois at the Daily Planet, and Clark's trying to ask Lois out on a date, but she's just brushing him off. And she's going to the airport to meet Air Force One to question the president. So she goes up into the helicopter, and I guess it gets stuck. I'm not sure what's wrong with this helicopter or why it was such a big deal in the beginning, because it was only hovering like 3 feet off the ground. Just land the helicopter.
Nah, they just kept going with it.
But nope, it keeps going around, and eventually the helicopter almost falls off the side of the roof, and Lois is hanging from the sky. And then Clark walks out of the Daily Planet, sees her about to fall, walks over to a payphone. That's, a phone you put quarters in for all those people who don't know what a payphone is. You would used to have to, it doesn't matter. But, in the old Superman cartoons and in the old days, he would get changed in a telephone booth. That's a booth that used to go around the payphones. And, Superman would go there and get changed. But there's no pay booth, so he runs to an alley and turns into Superman. I'm sorry. He doesn't turn into an alley. He runs into one of those revolving doors super fast, and then he gets changed in there. I assume he got changed in that door, but we learned later that his suit is magical and it just teleports onto him.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that because that makes me angry.
And so now Superman comes to the rescue. Go ahead, you want to say something?
Yes, at this point, an hour and 8 minutes into this point of this movie, after 4 or 5 terribly long movies, we get our first person of color have a speaking line in a superhero movie. Did you notice this?
I noticed the stereotype, sure.
Well, of course, if the black man says, "Hey, yo, Superman, nice suit,"
and
son, he didn't say like, "What?"
He's kind of dressed like a pimp too,
because he is a pimp. He has 2 ladies around his shoulders. The first person of color to speak is a pimp, talking jive turkey-ness to Superman of all people. Oh man, we've come a long way. I just wanted to put that out there. He's got like a nice Cadillac too. He's a pimp. Oh, the 70s. What a simple time.
Exploitation all around then.
So Superman goes back to saving Lois Lane.
He goes back to save Lois Lane, and she's like, "Who are you?" And he says, "A friend." And he flies off, and then Lois faints. And then Superman, for the first time, we've been waiting an hour, starts saving people.
It's funny because out of all the days, everything's going wrong between this helicopter crash, a kitten stuck in a tree.
Well, I got a list here.
Okay,
the first thing he does after he saves Lois is stop a robber who is climbing up the side of the building with suction cups, and he's just like, so he stops him, hands it off to the police, and then he's in the middle of there's a police chase going on. Yes. A bunch of other guys, I guess, robbers, are shooting at the cops. 2 of them get captured by the cops. The other ones get away into the boat. And they show the 2 robbers counting money, like the one's counting money, and then the other one comes in and picks up his money, and they're mugging at the camera with the flipping through it. And then they look up and Superman's there waiting. And then he takes before he takes them, a guy appears behind Superman and he hits him with a crowbar. And does nothing because he's Superman. But no one who knows who Superman is, so I guess that's fair. So he takes the entire boat and puts it in the middle of a street outside the police precinct. Superman's a jerk.
Yeah, what a dick move that is. I was thinking the same thing when I saw it.
It's like, you could have just dropped off the criminals.
No,
now you have to get a tow truck or something out here to get rid of this giant-ass boat in the middle of the street.
Who's paying for that? Why do you have to bring the boat into the middle of the road? You're not going to maneuver out of the city.
And then he's flying through the city, and he hears a girl trying to get a cat out of the tree. So he goes down and gets the cat out of the tree, and he flies off, and the little girl goes in and says, "Mommy, a man flew down from the sky and got the kid." And the mom says, "Stop lying," and slaps her in the face.
Yeah, I lost it at that point. That's hilarious.
I'm like, Superman, you're not doing anybody any favors right now. You keep getting people, yeah. And then Air Force One gets struck by lightning
because of course it does.
Because of course it does. And then Superman goes up and becomes the engine and helps it land. Yeah, so he saves the president, but they don't make anything of it. So
no.
So then everyone's trying to figure out who this Superman person is. He's not known as Superman right now. They call him like the Blue Bomber and stuff like that. I think they're all references from the comics, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Clark, I'm assuming it's Clark. They're the same person. What am I talking about? Clark leaves a note in Lois's hands. I don't know how it got there, but it did. And saying, "I'll meet you at your place at 8, a friend." That's really presumptuous of Superman. I'm just saying. Very.
Like, right off the bat, the second he sees her, Superman, not Clark, but Superman gets a crush on her. It's like, it's a trend in superhero movies I don't like. It's creepy.
But my question is, if I was Lois, how does Superman know where I live?
Yeah. He's very stalkerish in this little section of the movie.
I mean, we all know Clark knows where she lives because he shows up there because apparently they had a date.
Yes.
But she doesn't know Clark's Superman.
Nope.
Superman just happens to know where she lives. And if it's easy for people to get her address, that's pretty dangerous for her for being an investigative journalist. She's got plenty of enemies. She should be hiding her address. So that doesn't make sense either.
Not the slightest. Wait till we get to her apartment, because her apartment is out of her budget. She cannot be making that much money.
I guess, but at the same time, she is like the most important reporter in this world.
Is she like top-notch reporter now, or is it like after she meant to become top-notch?
No, at this point, I'm pretty sure she's already won plenty of Pulitzers.
Okay.
And I will point out her dad is a general.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a big Superman antagonist in the comics, General Lane. He's always trying to, stop Superman and stuff like that.
Who's not trying to stop Superman? But go back to this apartment real quick. She has so many plants on her balcony.
Well, you say this is out of her league because this balcony is gigantic and is really, really inside. But if you go into the apartment, it's kind of crappy inside.
It is somewhat crappy, but like not. I feel like she's more busy than she is at home. So like, how's it always clean? How's her plants alive unless they're all fake in the world?
That's a good point.
She has time for all this upkeep and to be a journalist, do all these things, and interview all these people.
It's funny in the comics when she's like doing investigating journal, her apartment's always a mess and shit.
Yeah.
And another thing that is true even in this, she does not know how to spell or anything.
Yeah, because she asked how to spell it was a massacre earlier, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She always has typos and stuff in her stuff, and Perry White he's her editor, which is his job to make sure she does it this way and make it sound like this. But she never ever makes an effort. Even in the comics, she's always bad at that.
Yeah, I do enjoy that. It's great.
But yeah, so Superman shows up late, and Lois is all dressed, all sexy and stuff. I guess that's what you want to call it.
I swear to God, I thought it was a nightgown. But
no, it's like a see-through dress.
That's a terrible dress.
It's like supposed to be a fancy, sexy dress kind of thing. I guess 1978 style,
But also, testament to how great Christopher Reeves is in this role. It took me a minute to realize, oh yeah, he's Superman wearing this ugly-ass outfit. He is so charismatic and so charming and so good-looking in general. I forgot he was wearing the red and blue ugly outfit.
Yeah, I guess. When he shows up, he just takes over a scene.
He does. Like, he was the man to be Superman.
And then, so he's there to be interviewed by Lois. People have questions about who he is, and he's there to answer questions honestly. And Lois is just head over heels for him.
Understandably so. Whew, I am too.
So she's asking stupid questions like, how do you eat? How tall are you? You can see through things. What color are my underwear? She's definitely hitting on him.
Oh, yeah. She's not subtle at all about it. But this is where it comes up. He says he can't see through
lead.
Lead. That's it.
Which is comic book lore, so.
Yes. Like I said, it's pretty faithful, I've assumed, to the comic books, right?
So far. I mean, there's some things that are not, but, nothing so far that hasn't been, like, insulting.
Yeah, nothing sinful.
Except for Lex Luthor's ugly wig.
He keeps changing his wigs, but they're all kind of the same, but all a little different.
In the comics, Lex is proud of his baldness, man.
Yes.
It's part of his ego.
Yes.
So
great.
the fact that he's insecure about it in this just diminishes him to a point, and it doesn't make him that great of a Lex Luthor.
No, he's just insecure about that. He's always in hiding. Like, come on, Lex. I like bombastic Lex, like out there.
So this is where we get after she's asked how fast can you fly, and this is where we get that classic flying scene.
Now this is the scene I was talking about off mic that it's too long. It is.
Oh yeah,
too long.
It's supposed to be romantic, but it's not.
It was romantic the first 2 minutes. The next 10 minutes, I was like, okay, well, why is she singing? Why was she? It's not me singing.
No, we'll get to that part of it. But I want to bring up that you say it's romantic, but at one point Superman drops her. He's Superman.
Well, first off, the way he's carrying her at that point, there's no way she'll be flying like that. There's no way.
Well, physics aside, I'm ignored the physics, but he's Superman. He should be feeling that he's slipping. Because apparently she's slipping. He should have this with no problem. He's Superman, and yet she slips and falls out of his hands. It makes no sense.
No, I was making my guess like, okay, maybe he's like let her feel that she's truly flying, but he just dropped her.
He just drops her, and they fly all the way to New York to the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, and that's where the whole talking song happens.
So can you read my mind poem?
Ugh.
This was shit.
It was awful.
It was the worst poem that I've ever heard.
Dreadful. Now, from what I remember hearing about this, originally she was supposed to sing it, and they kept trying to make her sing it, but she kept saying, "Hey guys, I can't sing." And then when she went to sing it one time, they were like, "Okay, yeah, just read it to us." So that's why it's a poem.
Yeah, well, they should have got someone to sing it for her, or just cut it the fuck out, because it's not good. It is terrible.
It makes you check your time. Like, okay, how much time do I have left of this movie?
This is the worst part of the entire movie.
By far. It's like so unredeemable.
Oh, man.
It was like worse than a 10-minute mole man chase, in my opinion.
It took me a moment to register that, but yeah. Yeah, it was pretty bad. I did not like it.
He drops her off back at her home, at her apartment. This is a good sequence, like film-wise, to play off that he and
because Clark shows up for the date.
Yes, but he drops her off. Then the camera follows her to walk back into her room, all in one take. And then you see him pop up as Clark Kent in his outfit. It was a fun little thing I was watching.
Yeah, because he shows back up for the date, and she goes to get a jacket, and he's debating on whether or not to tell her that he's Superman, and she comes back out, and he decides against it, and they go out for their date.
And even during that sequence right there, when he went from Clark Kent to Superman back to Clark Kent,
yeah, he did it really well.
Oh my gosh, so good. I cannot praise him enough for this role. Like, now I get why people say he was the best Superman Clark Kent.
So, now we go to Lex, right?
I believe so.
Because this is where, because Lois published the story about her night with Superman, and then Lex does a Batman 66 and deduces a bunch of crap. So he figures out, how long he was here, where Krypton was,
that the fragments had to have made it here, of course. Yeah, why not?
So meteorites landed from other planets, and he knows where one is, so forth and so forth. It's just exposition, essentially.
And his biggest deduction, and you were about to say it earlier.
Oh, yeah, that he figures out kryptonite.
Yeah, that it'll make Superman weak. How are you going to figure that out?
Radiation. It's, duh. Come on. But they also deduced, how are you going to get, even if it does hurt him, how are you going to get it? He can't see through lead. Come on. Keep up.
Side.
So,
that's I got.
So now Lex is going to enact this big plan.
Yes.
So he has a remote control car. Oh. And I'm not talking about a toy remote control car. This is an actual real car that he is remotely controlling. That he crashes on the middle of the road. And then Miss Tessmacher lies next to the car in a scantily clad dress.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So a bunch of soldiers with a missile show up, and they stop because they think, hey, there's an accident. And they're all distracted by the scantily dressed woman who has no blood on her, no wounds, doesn't seem like she was in this accident whatsoever, didn't bother to try to awake her. They're like, she's barely breathing. Maybe we should give her mouth to mouth.
And mind you, all the soldiers in this company all jumped out to look at this lady.
Yeah, every soldier. There's no one guarding the missile right now.
Nope.
Which allows the idiot Otis, a henchman, to sneak in and reprogram it.
Yes.
And then Lex shows up with an ambulance and takes her away.
Yes.
And then they start driving away. And good.
The scene is is very problematic because the general, the leader of the group, says, Let's give her mouth to mouth, gentlemen. But I'll do it for you because I don't want you guys doing it yourself because I got to lead by example and all that.
He also says he has to massage her chest.
Yes, I don't want to say that part, but yes. He gets them all to surround her and then do a 180 so they don't see what's going on.
And then Lex shows up in his ambulance.
Yes.
But
yeah.
Go ahead.
No.
I was going to move on.
Yeah, please.
So Lex picks up Otis, but he doesn't trust that Otis did it right, and he didn't do it right. So why'd you send him to do it in the first place?
Oh, thank you for saying this. If you know you're the smartest man, because earlier he said, you're 200 pounds, my IQ's 200, you're a fucking idiot, essentially. Why would you have any of these two idiots do your plan for you? Just do it yourself.
I mean, Miss Tessmacher at least seems to be competent and does eventually do everything right.
Yes, but not.
But get him to drive the ambulance to pick up the girl while you're reprogramming the rocket.
Thank you, TJ.
But of course, Otis screws it up, so now they gotta stop the rocket again. Yep. So they now somehow they got a house on a truck. I don't know, and they get in the way.
Did you plan for Otis to mess up to have this house ready? Like, how do you get this thing? They kill someone for this house.
They're not very good with time explanations in this because it seems like Clark has been at the Daily Planet for years at this point.
Yeah.
So who knows how long in between these rockets are. But they stop it, and then all the soldiers come up to Lex trying to get them moving. None of them recognizes the ambulance driver from earlier.
Nope.
But no one guards the missile, and Miss Tessmacher has Olympic training or something. She climbs up the side of a bridge.
And they make sure to show you that this bridge is up high, too.
Yeah, and she climbs up and reprograms this rocket. And now we're going into the third act.
Yes.
So, we're back at the Daily Planet. Perry White calls Clark into, because he sent Lois off to Nevada because someone's buying up Desert for some reason, for no reason at all. So both Lois and Jimmy Olsen are over, and Jimmy Olsen's a photographer. If you don't know who Jimmy Olsen is, he's Superman lore. Anyway, if you're watching this, you should know who Jimmy Olsen is.
I don't like
listening to this.
Don't like him. He's annoying as shit in this.
He's supposed to be like Superman's best friend, and he saves Superman's. He's just there to get saved, essentially, in the comics. I mean, recently he's also rich. And his family and the Luthors are the big families in Metropolis, and now he owns the Daily Planet.
Okay, so I know they mentioned that last time in Superman, the Mole Man one, or Stamp Day, right? They mentioned that Stamp Day.
Well, he's in the Adventures of Superman TV series. Yeah, I think he was in Stamp Day.
He was, yeah. You remember he had that typewriter?
Yeah. He's Superman's. He's the comic relief. He's just there for Superman, for someone to have Superman talk to, essentially, as Superman, not Clark Kent, Superman.
Nah, why? That is pointless. Don't like him.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. It depends on what version you're reading and stuff. He's not always terrible. So they're at the Daily Planet, and Perry White calls Clark into the office.
Yes,
and says, Clark, you're not a man's man. I'm a man's man. He goes on this giant rant. And then Lex gets a message to Superman through high-pitched frequency, I'm assuming?
Yep. He said only
dogs and Superman can hear. How he knows that Superman has this ability, because I'm assuming it wasn't in the interview because it didn't come up.
No. There's a lot of things Lex knows about Superman because Krypton says so.
So, but he gets his attention and invites Clark to his hideout. So yes. Clark jumps out of the window of the Daily Planet.
He tries to sneak out that way. He's looking to make sure no one notices him, but someone. The Daily Planet is still fully staffed at this time.
It's the middle of the day.
Yes.
He jumps out the window and magically changes outfits. Like it teleported onto his body.
Yeah, it's like it phased in and out. Like his suit phased out while this phased in. It was like no one on the street seeing this. How is that working? What's going on? That was that's a weird little section right there.
So Clark finds Luthor in his hideout, and Luthor just brought him there to tell him his evil plan.
Yeah. Instead of just doing the evil plan, he's just like, hey, Superman, I'll give you a heads up what I'm about to do.
Well, the missiles had already launched at this point. Lex Luthor tells Superman that he has set 2 missiles. One is going to the fault line in California. He's doing this because he wants the earthquakes to sink California, so all the land that he owns becomes the new California, essentially. So he can have more money. Why he needs more money, I don't know. The second plan is going to Hackensack, New Jersey for some reason.
Yeah, did that ever explain why?
Nope, he says, I know exactly where it's going. But apparently Miss Tessmacher's mom lives there, which brings down Lex Luthor's entire plan. He could have literally sent that missile anywhere else, and Superman would be dead now, and Lois would be dead now, and California would have sunk. Anywhere else in the world, he could have sent that missile, and this plan wouldn't have fallen apart. But Lex says he has a detonator that can destroy the missiles, but you don't know where it is, so Clark uses his X-ray vision and says, oh, there's a lead box there. I bet you it's in there. And Lex is like, don't open it. And he opens it, and there's kryptonite inside. Dun, dun, dun. So for some reason, Lex Luthor put the kryptonite on a giant chain so that he could put it around Superman's neck. And his plan is to throw Superman into a pool and I guess just let him drown as the rockets fly and destroy everything.
Yeah, it's a weird plan.
It's a weird plan, but it's working.
Yeah.
So good for him. Except Miss Tessmacher shows up and says, I'll save you if you save my mom first. And so Clark's like, well, I gotta save Jimmy and Lois. And Miss Tessmacher is like, no, you save my mom first, promise, because you never lie. Because he says he's never lied. Because no one's ever said I've never lied and then lied before.
Yeah, I never lied, TJ.
And so he promises, and then Tessmacher jumps into the water, takes the kryptonite necklace off of Superman.
Well, before she does, she sneaks a little kiss in real quick, because she knows
that Superman is never going to give her the time of day, because she's a ditz that works with Lex Luthor.
Yep.
And so Superman goes forward, stops the missile from crashing in New Jersey, because he made a promise, and Superman always keeps his promise. And then the other missile crashes and pretty much destroys the fault line, which causes the Hoover Dam to explode for some reason.
Yeah.
And so Superman spends the next 20 minutes pushing rocks over. As Lois is driving somewhere, Jimmy Olsen's hanging from the Hoover Dam as he saves him. But by the time he gets to Lois, her car has fallen into the fault line and crushes the car and kills Lois Lane. Now, I brushed through all that for a reason.
Why?
Because a lot happened there. A lot, that whole sequence happened like that. And all this stuff is going on. But Lois Lane dies here. And it would have been a hell of more interesting if it would just stayed that way.
Yes.
They would have killed off Lois Lane and took the Series 4s right here. Maybe take Superman a different direction or something like that. It would have been a hell of a lot more interesting. It would give him a reason to maybe even turn a little darker and stuff like that. It would have definitely been something. Well, but no, it would have been more interesting. You don't have to go dark. Maybe it reestablishes he's got to be better.
Yes.
He's got to be a better person. But if they wanted to go darker at somewhere down the line because of it, it would have made sense too.
Okay, I could totally agree with that. Yeah.
It would have made for so many different interesting stories that Lois dies before they really even became a thing. There's no reason, there's no spark. Because usually when Lois dies in some story, it causes Superman to go evil. But at this point, there's just a budding relationship at this, and there's not really that complete connection there. So it could have been interesting. But what they decided to do is make Superman speed around the Earth in a giant circle in reverse, so that the Earth's orbit goes the opposite direction and reverses time. 1, if time travel did exist, it would not work like this.
Never ever like this.
2, if you reverse the Earth's orbit like that, you're going to destroy the fucking planet.
Yes. Everyone's dead at that point.
3, the time travel that does work is only selective because only certain things get reversed, not the entire event, just those events with Lois happened. So it's not even just time travel, it's selective time travel. I hate time travel in general. It is a crutch in a lot of instances, and 9 times out of 10, the story you just watched from the time travel perspective never happened, which makes the whole story pointless, and why did we even go through it?
Yes, and everything he just said, I totally agree. I hate time travel as well. You rarely see a decent time travel concept and story together.
Sometimes there's rare occasions where it does work.
Very, very rare.
But this is one of the worst ever seen. The worst. The mechanics are broken. The physics are broken. The selectiveness of it makes no sense whatsoever. You can't reverse one instance of time.
No.
None of it makes sense. It's a cop-out. If you wanted to kill Lois Lane, you should have just killed Lois Lane. You give me a time travel excuse here. This was absolute bullshit. And it sucks so bad.
I agree with everything you say. I cannot add on to that. Because, like you said, to have Lois Lane die would have been a much more intriguing, just better paths to follow down that route instead of just retconning it for half-assed. He reverses the planet and just reverses time that way. What?
Right. If you didn't want to kill Lois Lane, then don't kill Lois Lane. Have Superman save her just in the nick of time.
Yeah.
This just broke a lot of the goodwill that this movie had, this whole part. Which brought the score down for me by like 3 points. But, so Lois is saved, they flirt a little bit, and Superman says, I have something to do. So he goes and grabs Lex Luthor and Otis and drops them off in the middle of a prison yard where the warden shows up. The criminal justice system's messed up, but it doesn't work like that.
No. Yeah,
you can't just drop people off in a prison and say, here, lock them up without a trial, without anything. It doesn't work like that. But Lex Luthor's an even more idiot because he admits that he's a criminal mastermind. He takes off his wigs and says, yes, I am evil. What?
Out of all the moments in this movie for you to pull off your wig and be proud of your baldness and to be even more arrogant of who you are, to say, yes, prison warden in this prison I'm currently in, I am a criminal mastermind. Luthor, you're supposed to be a 200 IQ genius right now. What are you doing?
This whole last sequence just broke the movie, I think. Everything up until the time travel moment was fine.
Yeah.
Except for the flying part.
Yep.
But from there on, it just broke it.
Because it felt like, obviously, because it felt like it was just rushing. Okay, we don't know what to do now, how we end this. Let's just do this, undo that, do this then, and end it. Because after he lands in the prison, he flies away and the movie ends. And it's like, that's how it ends? That's
it. It just stops.
Yep, this is the movie? Really? Okay.
But yeah, that was Superman.
Yeah. Really good. Up until, like you said, the last 10, 15 minutes.
I mean, I don't regret watching it. It's a classic for a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, from a first viewing experience, though, what do you think?
Oh, I loved it. From the set design, from my film side of me, from the set designs to just the camera movements, everything technical wise is great. The acting, the casting is spot on for everyone. Gene Hackman, he's not bad as Lex Luthor. It's just that Lex Luthor isn't well written. Christopher Reeves, again, I don't think we can do better than that right now. He is the one. It was a great movie. And
you mentioned off screen that you like the score too.
Oh yeah, John Williams, the score for Superman. So much of this movie is just so right. But the things that are wrong are just wrong enough to make it not a perfect movie.
Right. I mean, it hurt it a lot.
Yeah. I was wondering, maybe the Donner cut, if we ever get to it, might fix those things or might change them, like give us reasons why they happened this way. But for what we saw this version, it was...
Yeah, but all the Donner cut's going to do is make the movie longer.
Yeah, because it's 2 hours and 50-something minutes or another half hour extra. I don't want to sit through that.
So it's like, yeah, maybe it does, but I shouldn't have to watch another half hour for you to fix your plot holes.
Exactly. Especially if you're going to keep the time travel sequence in. I definitely don't want to see that.
Right. All right. So where are you rating it?
I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10.
That's where I'm at. I'm at a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a classic. It's a great movie, but it's not fantastic either, you know?
Oh yeah, it definitely has its faults for sure.
It's you can see why people look at this and this is the real first superhero movie, but man, its faults hurt it a lot.
Yeah. Yes. Well, like you said, this is the first superhero movie. It could make these faults so that they learn from.
I mean, the Superman films after the second one really go downhill. So
yeah, from what I've heard, yeah, that's Superman Returns is kind of dry.
Yeah, we'll get to them. Not that I care what these people think of anything anyway.
They're Otis's, honestly. That's what they are.
I mean, they're just going to judge us based on the things that we said anyway. What difference does it make?
You know, I'm calling them egg suckers, and that's it.